Well, hey, thank you for joining with me. We are going right through the Bible reading challenge, and we find ourselves today in John chapter 7. Now, would you please just take time to read through that or listen to it on your Bible app? It will be so worthwhile. Let me point out a couple things that's going on here for you. Hopefully, this will encourage you as you've read through it. Uh, Jesus says in 7:24, "Do not judge by appearances, but judge with right judgment." He's saying this as they are making judgments about him. And actually, the leaders were wanting to kill him, the religious leaders. And he goes on to say in verse 28, he says, "But the one who sent me is true." So if God the Father is true, Jesus is true. In this chapter, Jesus' brothers, his earthly brothers, were saying one thing, hey, you ought to go do this. You ought to go up to Jerusalem. But they didn't even believe in him. They were almost antagonizing him. Go on up there, go. And the crowds, some of the crowds made statements of faith during that time. Yet others in this chapter we see were calling him a demon. He's demon possessed. You're surely demon possessed. The Jewish leaders, minus Nicodemus as it points out here, they yelled and plotted in anger against him to see how they could get rid of him. And Jesus knew all of this. He knew all of their motives. He knew their faithlessness. And he calls for them to trust. Just trust in me, the living, life-giving, loving God who gives hope and healing. And so he says here, he says in these two verses I point out, don't judge by hearsay. Don't judge by what you're hearing. Judge by how things actually are. And the one who sent me, he says in verse 28, he is true. So Jesus is true. Put your faith in the right place. That's a good word for us today, isn't it? Let's put our faith in the right place as we live out our lives that he's blessed us with today. God bless you and have a great day.